Hey everyone, Big Paulie back for a brand new video, to talk about films that I've seen in the month of March. Now, throughout this video, you may see me unshaven or wearing a different t-shirt. It's not anything weird. It's just because I'm reviewing the films after I've watched them through the month. So it may be a couple of days later, it may be a week later. So my appearance may change. Hopefully not too much. Anyway, let's start with the first film, and it's going to be The Blackening. So let's talk about this. Okay, so yes, I got a chance to watch The Blackening. I put it in a red case because I thought it looks good. Yes, and this is directed by Tim Story. Which didn't give me too much hope at the beginning because he was responsible for the Tom and Jerry live action movie and also Fant4stic. So that's not a good start. But I gotta say, this was entertaining. Yeah, it wasn't brilliant. It kind of had Scream vibes to it and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it's about a group of friends there that are doing this reunion in a big house in the countryside. And there's this board game called The Blackening, and they have to play the game. It's a bit like Monopoly, and they have to answer questions. And they're basically all questions about black people and black history. You know, the type of question like, how many black people were there in this film? Or who was the first black person to get killed in this film? You know, if they don't answer the question correctly, then there's this masked figure walking around in the house and who's trying to kill them. And it also throws up the possibility that maybe one of these friends is the killer, pretty much like Scream with Billy and Stu at the end. So there's lots of running around the house and getting shot by arrows and trying to outwit this killer. Now, it does have a bit of a stereotypical feel to it, taking the mick out of black characters. There's a lot of the use of the N-word, probably about 100 times throughout the film. But it also throws in some comedy dialogue like you got in the Scream films, you know, with I'll be right back, that sort of thing. So it was entertaining. As I say, it wasn't a brilliant film. Overall, I thought it was an okay, interesting film. Now, the picture quality was fantastic, though. People that hate grain, you'll be loving this because it is so crisp and clean. It is mostly set at night in this old house and in the darkness of like the forest, surrounding forest. The audio was good. It was DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Now, the film is only 97 minutes long, which is about perfect for this type of film. You can't kind of stretch this out too much. But it does come with lots of special features, including an audio commentary with the director and the writers. Do the Right Thing, They Can't All Talk First, Shall We Play a Game, Cabin in the Woods, Who's the Blackest, game show, and theatrical trailer and more. Yeah, and it had a little bit of Jigsaw in there as well. You know, with this voice at the end of this game telling them that they've got to answer questions or they might die. So it kind of like influenced by certain films over the years. But there we go. Yeah, that is The Blackening. It was a good film, probably a one-time watch, but still a good film. Okay, so next up we have Spaceman, starring Adam Sandler. This is a Netflix movie. Okay, so let's just get to the bits that make sense. Okay, so 4 years ago, this mysterious cloud appeared around Jupiter. The Czech Republic sent out a spacecraft with a lone cosmonaut, played by Adam Sandler, to gather bits up from this cloud, bring it back home, and to analyse it to find out what it is. It's a 6-month journey there and a 6-month journey back, so that's a year of his life. It delves with loneliness, it delves with what your mind can do to you, how it can play tricks, and just being on your own constantly, the possibility of hallucinations, and just the overall loneliness. Part way into the mission, about 6 months into the mission, something emerges. I'm trying to not spoil it in case you want to watch it. There's interactions in the spacecraft between Adam Sandler and something, whether it's to do with the mind, whether it's hallucinations, whether it's real. I still haven't worked out. A lot of it delves into his past with his wife, played by Carey Mulligan. They've had their rocky moments and she's pregnant. She resents him from leaving her to go on this mission. I think it's trying to be Interstellar in a way. Towards the end of the film, like the last 20 minutes or so of the film, it kind of had vibes of Interstellar mixed with a bit of Contact, with Jodie Foster. There was even a scene there that reminded me of The Abyss. So it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I thought it was entertaining. I don't know how much rewatchability there is in the film. It's going to be one of those ones where you might have to watch it again and maybe again to try and understand what is exactly happening. Whether it's to do with the mind, whether it's loneliness, hallucinations, or that it actually did happen. That's all I can say, really. Visually, it looked really good. The inside of the spacecraft, it was a bit grubby. It looked like a worn spacecraft. It's not all posh, bright Starship Enterprise type of colours. It's very grubby. It's been flying for 6 months. One lone cosmonaut, which I don't think in reality they would ever send up one cosmonaut. But then again, when it got to the very end, it kind of changed it a bit again. Yeah, it's a thinker. This is a thinker. It's a puzzler. Because I'm trying to piece together what was going on and what was happening in the spacecraft and what the ending meant. It could be one of those ones where you're not meant to understand the ending. It's a puzzler. It's a puzzler. Yeah, so I must say the audio, though, in Dolby Atmos was actually really good. The sounds, inside the spacecraft, and the last 20 minutes, there were sounds all around me, right up on the top of the roof. It felt like I was engulfed in this last 20 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know. I might have to do a bit of exploring on Facebook or watch a few videos to see what other people think of it and to see if they know what really it was trying to say. Yeah. Anyway, that was Spaceman. As for Adam Sandler, I enjoyed him in this. I think he falls into the same category as Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks did a bit of comedy when he first started out, but the moment he became a serious actor, he became more watchable. Well, for me anyway. So I think Adam Sandler falls into the same category with this. This is the second serious film that I've seen Adam Sandler in, and so far I'm enjoying this style of Adam Sandler as opposed to the goofy comedy. Yeah, so there we go. This is not going to be for everybody. Some people might even turn it off. There's no way in hell Papa Bowman would even watch this. I mean, he would start watching it, but then it gets to that point in the film, you'll know what I mean, and he'll just go, yeah. My Mama Bowman, she would have been there for the long haul because she was very curious. but it's not going to be for everyone. It's going to take a bit of time to analyse it and just try and work out what. There we go. That's my review of Adam Sandler in Spaceman, which is on Netflix. Okay. Okay, so next up is a Netflix film called Damsel, starring Millie Bobby Brown. I kind of felt like this was a live-action version of a forgotten Disney classic that never happened. So Millie Bobby Brown plays a character called Elodie. She lives in this big old castle with her father, played by Ray Winstone, and her stepmother, played by Angela Bassett, and there's also a younger sister as well. Now, their big castle has fallen onto hard times. The local people have not got enough food to eat. And her father, Ray Winstone, has offered her up to Prince Henry in a nearby castle, a lot more glossy castle. This is a rich castle, and it will ensure the safety of the family and the survival of the local people. Elodie's stepmother, played by Angela Bassett, believes there's something a bit more sinister going on than just a royal wedding. And she's not wrong, as we discover the real reason why they wanted a new bride for Prince Henry. We'll leave the story there. So what do we get in the film? We get underground caverns, we get perilous adventure, we get fire-breathing dragons, and we get an evil queen who really seems like she's just been plucked out of a Disney film. So it's a bit of an adventurous film. Feel a bit like Dragonheart in a way. A lot of it's been done before. It was entertaining. The special effects were really good. You know, the CGI was really good. But deep down, I think this was just an excuse to turn Millie Bobby Brown into a Lara Croft type of character. And you could possibly see this maybe getting a sequel for Netflix sometime in the future. So there we go. So that is Damsel. Yeah, it was an okay, entertaining film. Not brilliant. But yeah, a nice little bit of adventure there. Next up, we have Greta, which is directed by Neil Jordan. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really good thriller. Yeah, basically, Chloe Grace Moretz plays Frances, who's a waitress in this restaurant. And on her way home from work one night, she finds this handbag on the underground train. So she has her rumble through it, and she finds like a driver's license. So she decides to return the handbag to the owner, which is Greta, played by Isabelle Huppert, I think, or Huppert. And they start to form a little friendship there. Chloe Grace Moretz's Frances character recently lost her mum a year ago, and Greta has lost her husband, and her daughter doesn't contact her. So it kind of becomes a mother-daughter kind of relationship. They start to hang out. She goes round to Greta's place and has some food. She cooks some food for her. But then while having an evening meal at Greta's, Frances is looking through the cupboards to find some candles, and she finds something quite alarming. Loads of duplicate handbags. Yes, and that's where the thriller begins. Who is this person? Why are all these handbags here? And what is the agenda? And before you know it, this turns into a stalker frenzy. Yes, Greta won't leave Frances alone. She's always there. She goes to her work. She interferes in her life. And it turns really violent at the end. She becomes very possessive of her, won't let her go, and Frances has to try and get away from this psychotic woman. Now, I thought it was really good. The pacing was good on this. The film was only an hour and a half long. There are some psychotic moments in there. The more you get into the story, the more you find out about Greta and her history. There was also a few light bulb moments in this film as well. Whereas something happens towards the beginning and then you see it from a different perspective later on and you're like, that's what it was. The film also co-stars Maika Monroe as Francis's flatmate as well, who didn't trust Greta from the start. But yeah, overall, I really had fun with this film. Really good. It's a really good thriller. Some thrilling moments in there, some psychotic stalker moments, also some scenes of being held captive and what happened to all the previous people that picked up the handbags off the train as well, because it's not the first time this has happened. So there's a bit of a history there with previous people that have picked up those handbags and returned them to Greta. Overall, I thought this was a really good thriller right to the end. Yeah, the pitch quality on this was fantastic. Very clean. The audio was DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Brilliant sound as well, especially like in the nightclubs and out in the city. Lots of use of the surround and the subwoofer. But definitely give this one a go if you like thrillers, if you like psychotic stalkers, then I think you'd really enjoy this. The performances were really good. Chloe Grace Moretz was brilliant as Frances, but I gotta say, Isabella Huppert as Greta actually stole the film. She was absolutely brilliant in this. So yes, this is Greta. Okay, so next up, hang on a minute. I had to write this down. Okay. She grabbed my hairy business. I had to write that down. Yes, next we have Poor Things. I thought I'd give this a go. Everybody's watching it at the moment. It's done well at the Oscars.
What the bloody hell was that?
This was weird. This was really weird. I don't know. I mean, Emma Stone plays Bella Baxter. She's a young woman, decides to commit suicide, throw herself off a bridge. She's found by Willem Dafoe, who looks like something that's just come out of my bum this morning. He's kind of like a mishmash of Frankenstein's monster and Dr. Frankenstein himself. And he removes Bella's unborn baby and transplants the baby's brain in Bella's head. Yes, thus creating a new Frankenstein's monster, who physically looks like a 30-year-old woman, but mentally a young kid, a baby. So it's all about learning about the world and learning about things. The more she learns, the more she wants to leave and go out and do a little bit of exploring with Mark Ruffalo. Yes, now Mark Ruffalo was actually hilarious in this. Willem Dafoe was brilliant. He played the part really well. Emma Stone, I can see why she won the Oscar. She was really good. It's just a weird film. There's lots of shagging. I mean, she drops her pants more times than I've had hot dinners. It looks really nice. You know, the production values are top notch. There's something kind of old about the look. It was entertaining, but I think it's one of those ones where you just watch it and just that's it. You know, it's a one-time watch. It's just weird. It's just weird. The performances obviously were the best thing. Yeah, it's just weird. Okay, so next up we have a film called Roadhouse. Who only a couple of weeks ago I actually watched the 1989 version with Patrick Swayze, as it was very kindly sent to me by my very good friend Carlino9. Now, as for the new one, this is directed by Doug Liman, who did Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and that absolutely massive blockbuster Chaos Walking with Daisy Ridley. Yeah. Anyway, so It follows the same path. It follows the character of Dalton, an ex-martial arts cage fighter or UFC fighter, who has a job as a bouncer. He gets an opportunity to head to Florida and take out the trash in the local club, the local bar called the Roadhouse. Of course, there's lots of trash to take out. There's bikers, there's just angry people throwing punches, throwing chairs around, and he's paid $5,000 a week just to clean this crap hole up, basically. Now, this film is a little bit more hard-hitting than the original film. Patrick Swayze kind of injected a bit of cheesiness into the film, whereas this is more punch your way through it. Yeah, with Jake Gyllenhaal. He's really good. He does have some problems. He's still haunted by something that happened in his past, in his UFC days. And as he's trying to clear the crap out of this bar, you've also got the local baddie, whose father is now in jail and he's got all the money now, and he wants to flatten the Roadhouse in order to build this massive big gambling complex for rich people. Throw in a bit of romance in there as well, and a local bookshop where Dalton befriends this young girl, and you've got an entertaining couple of hours. Of course, if you've got a film like this, you need a bit of extra muscle. Now, who are you going to bring in? Are you going to bring in Arnie? No. You're going to bring in Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, or Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, Jet Li? No, you're going to bring in Conor McGregor. Yes. At first, I didn't know what to make of this. He plays it very cheesy in a way, but I think he was just loving the screen time. I think he was just having such a ball playing this role in the film that I think he just got lost in the role. It is over the top, totally over the top, batshit crazy. But he was very entertaining to watch, even though his acting skills are not quite up there. But he was certainly interesting to watch. So yeah, I'm not going to say that this film is crap. I'm not going to say you cannot remake a classic. I did state that a couple of days ago. You can't remake something as classic as Roadhouse from 1989. You can remake it slightly different for a modern audience, and I would say this is just as entertaining as the original film. So yeah, everybody did a great job in it. Jake Gyllenhaal was fantastic. There were some comedy moments, some good comedy moments that just hit the mark. Dad was having fun with it. He stayed right to the end, and yeah, we had a barrel of laughs with it. So I thought it was really entertaining film. So yeah, that is Roadhouse 2024 with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about in this video is True Lies on 4K. Yes, Jim Cameron's 1994 action comedy starring Arnie and Jamie Lee Curtis. I forgot who it was then. Yeah, Bill Paxton, Tom Arnold, amongst others. This is a really good film. A really great action comedy. There's everything in there. There's wit. There's epic action scenes, flying Harrier jump jets, detonating nuclear bombs, and just a great amount of comedy. And the comedy always hits on the mark. Especially the Arnie riding the police horse scene and things like that. It also has a very young Eliza Dushku, Faith from Buffy, and playing their daughter. And the villain in the film is played by Art Malek. And although it's showing you like the terrorist organisations, there's a bit of a comedy in there. A lot of the terrorists have got a comical side to them, especially when they're driving across that bridge and the bird lands on it. They're not considered hardcore, brutal terrorists because obviously it's a family film. But yeah, True Lies, fantastic film. We've been waiting for it for so long. Now, let's talk a little bit about this version. Now, this is the first time it's ever appeared on 4K. And unlike The Abyss, there's a bit of inconsistency in this transfer. And after I watched the film in 4K, I watched the Blu-ray as well. I just skipped through different scenes that I knew I would want to look for, you know, to see what kind of transfer the Blu-ray had. And I've got to say, on some scenes on the Blu-ray, it was actually better than the 4K. The 4K had a kind of a soft touch to it. I think it was DNR'd. It felt like there was a lot of grain removed when I played the Blu-ray back. There was a lot more grain evident in the background. And some of the up-close scenes of the faces on the 4K, such as Jamie Lee Curtis, you could barely make out any features. It's like her face was smoothed over, you know, like the old Terminator 2. Now, don't get me wrong. There are scenes where close-up face scenes look fantastic, and you can see all the stubble and the hairs, and it looks absolutely magnificent. But like I say, it's inconsistent. Throughout the film, some scenes are fantastic in 4K, some scenes look like an upscale DVD, and very soft, especially the dance scene at the end. It kind of felt a bit blurry. So yeah, but it was still a great film. The Dolby Atmos soundtrack was fantastic. That's probably the best thing of this film. With the bass, the guns, the bullets ricocheting everywhere, and when it was raining in the Tasker's house, the rain all the way round you. So the atmos was fantastic. And when the jets were flying over the bridges, flying all above you and behind you, and it was really great. The Blu-ray has the DTS HD Master Audio soundtrack, which has still got a bit of a punch in it, but it wasn't as enveloping as the Dolby Atmos soundtrack. So yeah, it could have been a better transfer. I wished it had been a bit of a better transfer, but it's certainly not as good as the Abyss transfer, which now makes me worried for Aliens. But it's still the best we've ever seen it, and I just wish they wouldn't rush these things. I know we've been waiting forever for it, but you should know your audience. You should know your audience, and you know what they expect. Now, I was only playing it in this cinema room. I've only got a 43-inch LED, and I could tell all the inconsistencies. So I don't know what this is going to be like in a 65, 70-inch OLED. If you've got one of them, put it down in the comments and tell me what you think of the transfer on a bigger screen. But if I can see that on a 43-inch in the cinema room here, then yeah, it's going to be a lot more noticeable on a bigger screen, which is a little bit worrying. But anyway, we've got it now. True Lies in 4K. Really good, fantastic action comedy. But it's a very inconsistent transfer throughout the film. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but there you go. Fantastic. So there we go. So that is it. That is everything that I've seen in the month of March. I have cheated. It is the 1st of April today, and I've watched it today, only because this is when it came out. But I'm going to keep it in the March video, and then we'll start fresh from whatever I see in April. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like it by giving it some thumbs up. Blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. And I'll see you on the next video very soon. Bye bye.